Hey everyone, welcome you all. In our previous videos, we have understood what is artificial intelligence and what is generative AI, and also we have understood about LLMs, large language models. In the today's video, we will try to understand what is prompt and prompt engineering and how we can write a proper prompts. So first, what is prompt? A prompt is basically a detailed set of instructions or guidelines given to LLM to perform a specific task. So whenever you want to perform a specific task, we need to provide certain instructions to the LLM. It can be Chat GPT or Google Gemini, DeepSeek, whatever. So we need to provide set of instructions or guidelines to perform certain task, which is basically called as a prompt. And what exactly the prompt contains, it describes like what to do, how to do, and what kind of output we're expecting. So all that information should be part of the prompt. Okay, then what is prompt engineering? So if I say simple a prompt, I have given certain instructions. So when I give a prompt or set of instructions, sometimes you may not able to get your accurate or expected outcome from it. So then what you will do, you will refine your prompt. Again, you will provide the prompt one more time or multiple times sometimes. And that is basically called as engineering. So prompt engineering is a process of designing and refining the prompts to get the best possible results from the LLM. So the prompt engineering basically involves creating a task specific prompts and improving them through trial and error. It is basically an iterative process. Why it is an iterative process? Because multiple times we need to give prompts by refining them till you get a expected outcome or expected result from the prompt. So that is basically called as prompt engineering. It's a process. A prompt is a set of instructions, and prompt engineering is a process of writing the prompts by refining them in multiple times. That is the reason we call it as a iterative process. Now, so when you write your prompts, we need to follow or we need to include certain elements. And what are those elements? First thing, instruction. Second, context. Third, input data. Fourth, output indicator. So whenever you write a prompt, make sure if you have these elements which are included in your prompt, you will get a burst and accurate result from LLM. For example, let's say what is instruction? Instruction is describe a task, a specific task or an action you want LLM to perform, right? Whatever the task you want to perform, you need to provide proper instructions to the LLM. So the instruction should be very, very clear and complete, which is a part of the prompt which you have created. For example, let's say, write test cases for login functionality. So write test cases is basically what? An action or a task for what? Login functionality. Write test cases for login functionality. This is basically a simple instruction which you are giving to the LLM. And what is context? Sometimes instruction alone is not giving the expected outcome or expected response. So in that case, we need to add some background to the instructions. That is basically called as context. So context is nothing but what? The background information or the details that help the LLM understand the task better. Sometimes if the instruction is not able to generate a proper or expected response, then we can just specify or include the background of the task. For example, let's say the same instruction, we can modify this by adding a background. For example, let's say the login functionality has two fields, username and password. The password must be at least 8 characters long. So this is basically what a background of writing test cases for login functionality. And the input data is another element. So you provided instructions and also you provided some context background, but sometimes we need to pass some input to data also. So for that, we can just say like this: username is some test user, password is some password 123, something like this. So the data or information provided to the LLM to work with the data, that is called input data, is also sometimes required. So instruction means the action or the task. Context means a background. Input data is input is nothing but it's a data which is required to create expected output. And outcome indicator, so in which format you want to get an output. So that is also you need to clearly specify what is exact outcome, in which format or in which way you are expecting the output. So that also sometimes we required. So the format or a structure you want to output in, that also we need to include. For example, let's say provide the test cases in a tabular format or table format with columns for test case ID, description, input, expected output, and actual output. So this is more describing this statement is more describing about the output, how exactly the output looks like. Right? These are all the different elements which we need to make sure should be part of your prompt. Instruction, context is nothing but instruction is nothing but a task or an action. Context is basically a background. Input data is required sometimes, and output indicator. So how exactly we are expecting the output, in which format. So that we need to specify. So now by including all this instruction, context, input data, output indicator, so let us create a prompt. So this is a final prompt which includes all four elements of the prompt. Let us see here. Write test cases for login functionality. This is basically for what? This is an instruction. So the login has two fields, username and password, and the password must be 8 characters long. So what is this actually? This is a background or context. So then use the following input: username, test user, password is password 123. This is an input element. And then outcome. Provide the test case in a table format with columns for test case ID, description, input, expected output, and actual output. So this is the complete prompt which contains all the elements. Instruction means a task or action. Provided context, that means a background is also provided. Input data is also provided. Inside this, we specify the username and password. Input data is also provided. And finally, output indicator also we have specified as part of the prompt. So this is a final prompt which contains all the elements. So this is exact prompt which will give you the accurate result and specific or the deterministic result from the LLM. Now, so we have understood what are the elements should be part of the prompt. So now let us understand the different techniques. What are the different techniques we can follow by creating the prompts? Prompt engineering techniques. So there are multiple techniques are there. So here I'll discuss 2 to 3 main techniques mostly we use. Zero shot prompting. So what does it mean? So asking the LLM to perform a task without providing any examples. The model relies on its pre-trained knowledge. Zero shot prompting means what? We are not giving any example. Just we provide simple instructions. We are directly asking LLM to perform certain task. We don't provide any example. We don't provide any output, nothing. We're just asking LLM to perform certain task. That is called zero shot prompting. And to perform this, to produce a result or produce a response for this type of prompt, the LLM should rely on pre-trained knowledge. So whatever the LLM is already knows with the previous content, so based on that, it will generate the response. Because we are not providing any examples or anything, just we are providing single instruction to that. For example, let's say if I give prompt like this is a zero shot prompting. Write test cases for login functionality with username and password fields. That's it. This is one single shot. We are not giving any example for that. This is called zero shot prompting. And one shot prompting means we can just give one single example also, how we can generate the test case. For example, let's say providing a single example to guide the LLM on how to perform the task. So we just provided only task here with single sentence. This is zero shot prompting. Suppose if I give the same prompt by giving some example, then that becomes a one shot prompting. So providing single example to guide the LLM on how to perform the task. Providing an example is nothing but we are indirectly saying how we can perform the task. So for example, the same prompt we can modify like this as a one shot prompting. Write test cases for login functionality. This is actually zero shot prompting. Then we followed by example. So for example, If the username is user1 and the password is pass123, a test case could be like this. Now the test case ID, description, valid login, input username is user1, password is pass123, and then expected output should be login successful. So now write a test cases for a login functionality with the username and password field. So this is an example prompt of one shot prompting. So what is the major difference between zero shot and one shot? In the zero shot, we are not providing any example. It is totally rely on its pre-trained knowledge of LLM. But in the one shot prompting, we are just giving an example how we can, how we are expecting the output or how we are expecting the response from the LLM. So we are giving some example. And based on that, our LLM will generate the response. This is called one-shot prompting. And same way, if I pass multiple examples, then which is basically called as a few shot prompting. Sometimes one examples may not enough, especially when you write prompts for logical things or complex coding kind of stuff. Sometimes one-shot prompting may not required. So few shot prompting is required. So sometimes you need to pass multiple examples. Let's say providing multiple examples to help the LLM understand the task better. So for example, let's say same prompt I have written like this. Write test cases for a login functionality. Here are some example. Let's say I have given few more examples. So this is the first example I have given. Test case ID 1. Description is valid login. Input also given, expected out also, login successful is given. Another test case ID, invalid password, user1 and password is a username and password because this is a invalid password, and output should be login failed, password too short. And now write a test cases for login functionality with username and password field. So here we have given one example for valid scenario and another is invalid test case. First one is valid, second one is invalid. So if I provide both the things, then this particular prompt will cover all positive as well as negative test cases, which will able to generate all positive and negative test cases. This is a few shot prompt, right? So what is the major difference? Single shot is nothing but we will specify just only single action, straightforward action, and LLM will provide the response. You may not able to satisfy with that response because the LLM is provided that response based upon pre-trained knowledge. But if I give one more example, then it may provide some more effective outcome or result from the LLM. And again, if you pass multiple example like this, which is basically called as a few shot prompting. Okay, so what we have learned is prompt. Prompt is nothing but an instruction or instructions given to LLM to perform a specific task. And prompt engineering is nothing but iteratively refining the prompts to get better results. Every time we will refine the prompt, and again we will provide one more time, multiple times, which is called as a prompt engineering process. And prompt elements, whenever you write a prompt, make sure instruction, context, instruction should be there, means it represent an action. Context should be representing as a background, input data and output indicator. Make sure these elements should be part of the prompt. And there are different techniques. Again, we have understood zero shot technique with no examples. One shot technique, we provide just one single example. Based on that, we are expecting the outcome from the LLM. And few shot is nothing but we can pass a multiple examples, and based on that, LLM will return the response. So these are some basics of prompt and prompt engineering. And based on this, we will try to create a different prompts in the coming sessions. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.